Are all of the news and social media headlines catching your attention yet about the real estate market? Well, let me tell you, they're not all true. I'm here to share with you what I'm actually seeing every day, boots on the ground, showing properties, working with buyers and sellers here at the Jersey Shore. Hey, I'm Adam D with KW Realty and the Local Connect, and I'm here for another round of our market update. As promised, we're going to keep you posted on what's actually going on. What we're looking at here is properties for sale and properties sold quarter by quarter. And one of the concerns right now is that the number of transactions has decreased. And, some folks may think that that is part of a market correction or a crash. However, I'm okay with it because the number of properties for sale and the number of properties closing are both down. So if the property is not available to sell, it can't sell, right? So what we're always looking for is, does this change? Is the number of properties for sale increasing and up? However, the numbers of properties selling is down, right? But you can see that here the number of properties for sale is down 37% and the number of properties sold is down 26%. You can see here median sold prices are still increasing, right? Now the numbers here are going all the way back to 2019, so they're up 60% from 2019. These numbers, by the way, are for the entire MLS in our area, which just gives us a really good perspective of what's actually going on. Lastly, average days on market are still very low. Again, looking back over the past 3 years, it's down 53%. Right now, we're still looking at just about 35 days on market on average, which historically is very, very low and still very much a seller's market. Now, you always hear me talk a lot about housing inventory or supply and demand because that really is the biggest indicator of the real estate market. Again, not to beat the dead horse, but if inventory is increasing or the supply is increasing but demand is decreasing, that's when you see a significant shift or even a crash in the market. And we see a lot of people freaking out right now because the amount of inventory has increased a little bit. But look back to what we might call a normal market, somewhere in the middle here, right? We're still significantly below that, and we're certainly not anywhere close to the beginning of this graph here, which is 2011. That's when the market kind of started recovering after 08, and it was a very poor market, but recovery kind of started. We're much below that, so we're nowhere near this buyer's market or surplus of inventory, and that's why we're still seeing very much still be a seller's market. The other things that we're seeing is, as you know, interest rates have creeped up a bit, right? And you may be seeing on the news that they're 6+%. Well, they're actually not quite that high. They've gone down. And in our shore points, our towns like Brigantine and Margate, Ocean City, Sea Isle, Avalon, Stone Harbor, Wildwoods, Cape May, for example, we have a lot of properties that are in jumbo loan territory, which are that $650,000 or more loan amount. Those rates are still in the 4s, so still very low. And we have a lot of buyers that are taking advantage of the adjustable rate mortgages again. Something to think about. You can get a much lower rate if you take a 7-year adjustable rate mortgage. So something to consult with your mortgage lender about. If you think about it, if you're going to be in the house less than 10 years, it might make sense to do adjustable rate. If you're planning on being there more than 10 years, it may not make sense. This is a good quote from Dave Ramsey. He said, "The root issue of what drives house prices almost always is supply and demand," right? You keep hearing me say that. And now interest rates affect that a little bit, right? When interest rates go up, guess what? There's fewer buyers, demand goes down, this is going to soften or be some type of softening in the market. It's just not as crazy as it was before. That's what you've been hearing me say, right? And that's what we're seeing right now. So take a look at this. This is interesting. The folks who think that we're headed into a real estate market crash may not always be correct. In fact, if we look back in other previous recessions, there was not always a real estate market crash. Now, there's a recency bias because we remember the most recent recession in 2008, we'll call it, there was a real estate crash, but not every time, right? And you see in other times in history, right, there may have, again, been some type of stock market or bond market crash, but not always the real estate. So really interesting. Look back at that we don't always have to be so focused on 2008 when we're comparing what might actually happen in the real estate market. You can see here that there are virtually no bank-owned foreclosures right now. This tells us we're not in a mortgage type crash that we've seen before, everybody has a ton of equity in their house, and therefore there's little to no foreclosures across the country. You can see at the tail end of this graph here just how low that number is. And of course, this is for the entire United States, but I'm seeing the same thing locally here. So what do you think? I know as one of my clients, everybody lives all over the country. You may be seeing something slightly different in your market. And by the way, I have some experts in that area if you ever need someone to give you a good overview on your market. But this is what we're seeing in this area right now. It may change. I'll continue to keep you posted. And please hit the button to subscribe so you know the next time that I put another video out like this one. I'm Adam D with the Local Connect, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.